Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. You're tuning in to the Football Fan Zone. It is a big program tonight, as is always the case every Sunday without fail. We're here to deliver you all the latest news, views, and it's a 4 and 4 discussion. And every week, he's by my side. I'd like to big welcome, big introduction to my co-host, the man of the moment, Mr. Negative, Craig Filer. How are you, Craig? Great to have you on board.
Good evening, Tons. Good evening, listeners. Hope you all had a good weekend, and what a fantastic weekend weather-wise. Hey, bloody superb. If it was like this every day in winter, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, without a shadow of a doubt. Like this morning was just that. It was cold, but it was crisp. It was just the perfect day to get started. And for you in particular, you spent your morning, your day back at it. It was a practice game today, was it? Out and about. The NPL is out next week.
Yeah, we had a bit of a gala practice day down at North Geelong. So big shout out to the North Geelong club for hosting the day today. Great to be back on the park, and it's good to see the boys playing football again, which it's been a long time coming. So start this week and get prepared, ready for the start of the new season, which kicks off properly for the NPL boys next Saturday and Sunday with a double header.
Well, it's going to be huge. Well, let's hope, with everything and all the uncertainty happening around town, that things will kick off next week. I'm quietly confident. That they will. At least, if nothing else, let's just hope. That the whole state doesn't suffer because of some of those hot spots. And if you are from those hot spots, we want to hear from you. We want to know what is the situation like at Ground Zero. We want to know exactly what is going on. And look, it's all about what's going to happen over the next couple of days. But tonight, let's talk about the hypotheticals. Let's talk about the things that may or may not happen. Let's talk about, the news that has been happening. Good God. Hasn't it been just full on the last few days? And, oh, geez, look, run us through some of the stuff that's been happening, Craig.
Yeah, well, I suppose we have to start off as Chris Briffa said there at the top of the show. What a fantastic week for Australian football, for women's football, for football in general here in Australia, with obviously FIFA awarding the joint Australia-New Zealand bid for the 2023 World Cup, which is it's going to be huge. I was speaking to Josip Skoko down at Geelong today, and said to him, I said, do you think the country realises just how big a tournament it's going to be and the impact it can have on football here in Australia? And he said, I have no doubts they have no idea.
Good point. Yeah, very good point.
No idea of just how big it's going to be to host. Possibly it is the biggest sport in watching in the world in terms of women's football. So you're gonna have the best of the best on our shores. So it can only be good for the game in Australia, but it can only be even better for women's football here in Australia. And I know I'm looking forward to it. I know when I was speaking to my daughter, and she said, can we go and watch? And we're already planning a road trip around Australia in 2023 to go and watch as many games as we can. So,
how cool is that?
Sure, I won't be the only one.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, if you went to the and I know of at least two people probably tuning in tonight. I know certainly of one. Let's call it. Let's say his initials are RH, and he's already posted a comment. I'd love for you to ring in and tell us your experiences at the last World Cup, the Women's World Cup. The number there is 0497 151 234 0497 151 234. And our colleague from our sister program, the Geelong Region Soccer Show, Steve Curtin, also was at the Women's World Cup last year. And he commented about how he was blown away with the size, the significance of the World Cup to the local community. And he was just, like I said, he was blown away. So this is going to be even bigger and better, because it's the first Football World Cup that we've held on these shores. It's going to be
Yeah, and it's going to
insane.
be, again, I was speaking to Jos today, and he was saying that they've put in a bid to host one of the teams down at North Geelong as a training venue. So there's going to be lots of these little hubs around Victoria where 32 countries, I think, Tonch, isn't it?
32 countries for the first time. Absolutely.
So there's going to be opportunities to see World Cup or World football stars right on our doorstep. So really looking forward to that. But I suppose it's been clouded a little bit, Tonch, with the news of obviously Ante Milicic, who's also got the job as the MacArthur Football Club's first coach in the A-League for next year. And I think reading from one of the sites this week that he's been given 3 weeks to decide whether he wants to lead the Matildas to not only the World Cup but also the Olympics. Or take the role with MacArthur and become their first coach in the A-League. So he's got a real tough decision to do. Not only financial, I think, walking away from the MacArthur, I think figures are banded around about 1.4 million over 3 years.
Yeah.
And it will be nowhere near that to coach the Matildas. So it depends, I suppose, on what he wants. But, he could stay with the Matildas knowing that he's got a job for the next 3 to 4 years, guaranteed. Or he walks into an A-League club and he's got a. I don't envy the bloke at all, because that must be a horrible situation to be in.
What a difficult decision, but I guess, geez, what to be in that position though? Isn't that every coach's dream? You've got to choose between a gilt-edged job in your hometown, to coach a startup club, and we've heard from Mark Rudan how that was one of the things that really what was the word, tempted him to come and leave Wellington Phoenix so he could be a part of a startup club. It's creating history, Craig. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But so too is being the coach of the Matildas in a World Cup in your own backyard. Yeah, absolutely. What do you folks think? What have your say? Do you want to be on tonight's The Football Fan Zone? Text us now on 0497 151 234. The number's there at the bottom of the screen there. With your question, Craig will call you back straight away, and then we'll get you on here, and let's talk about what you want to talk about. Now, whilst we're looking or waiting for anyone to come on, a couple of interesting stories today in the Herald Sun. I will bring this one up on screen. This is an interesting one, very, very interesting one. And it's an article there, hanging up the boots, surge in footy leagues quitting 2020. Now, basically, it's talking about the AFL, and a staggering 19 leagues have cancelled in the past week, meaning there are only about 10 competitions or 10 leagues that have been given the green light. Now, that's interesting. It really is interesting. Craig, what are your thoughts? I think that gives us soccer. Yeah, I think it gives us a really great opportunity. One, even if we don't, if we don't manage to poach any AFL footballers, albeit temporarily or whatever the case may be, it's an opportunity for a lot of local media to start jumping up on local football, whether it's a state league or whether it's the NPL or whatever the case may be. It's guaranteed that we're going to get a lot more publicity than we normally do. This is my thoughts anyway. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And on top of that, I think it shows that football is resilient. Football, we mean business. We're not going to be scared off by anything. We're going to keep on going. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Couldn't care less about AFL, if I'm absolutely honest. I think
it's not about the AFL. It's about football. It's about soccer. It's what we can get out of it.
Yeah, I really don't care what happens to AFL. Couldn't care whether they have 10 leagues or 50 leagues cancel. It's about football for me. It is a good opportunity. We spoke about it on Thursday night. We've spoken about it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. This could be an opportunity for us to get some of the AFL players who are not playing any sport at all this year. Try and get them involved in football, and who knows what can happen. They might actually end up enjoying it, and we got more players playing the sport. So look, I think it is different. It is still very, very regardless of whether we think this thing's over. It's certainly not, and that's been the case over the last week here in Victoria, where I'm not sure how many overnight, but I think it was 41 cases again overnight. People refusing to take their tests in hotels, and I just find it barbaric that people can't think of others in situations like this. But from our point of view, it's a great opportunity to increase our numbers in football for sure.
Absolutely. Look, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. The world is your oyster as far as what we can talk about. It is about you, the fan. It's the fan zone, the football fan zone. So we'd love to hear whatever your comments are. There's a lot of comments being made on the comments section, but we're not even going to bat an eyelid at that. If you want to make a comment, give us a ring. Text us on 0497151234. And please, let's have some new faces this week. For the last few weeks, we've had some really interesting callers. All of our callers have been absolutely fantastic. We don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with us. It's all about opinions, and no opinion is right or wrong, except if you don't agree with me. Hey, Craig. No, that's not the case. We'd love you to have something controversial. We'd love you to have something maybe about the winter competition or the A-League moving to the winter, whether or not the Women's World Cup is going to leave a legacy. Maybe you believe something different. What legacy? What are we talking about when we say legacy? Does North Geelong stand a chance of hosting a country down in Geelong? We'd love to hear from people down Geelong way, what they think. And we would love to hear any comments that people have got to say. Now, is anyone on the phones yet?
Nobody's coming through, but look, we got a lot to talk about tonight, Tonch, anyway, regardless of whether people ring in, but it is your show, so do dial in, and we'll get you on as quick as we can. But, there's lots to talk about, not only in Australia. We've got... here we go. This is where the phone starts going and everybody starts jumping up and down. Liverpool finally end their 30-year hoodoo by capturing the EPL League. Wait for all the comments to start coming up. And I saw a great post yesterday on Facebook, and it was a sign of "You'll never walk alone," but it actually had "You'll never walk alone" was crossed out. It had "Hear the end of this." It was brilliant. So, look, all the Liverpool fans, jump on, tell us your thoughts. It's taken you 30 years to win the domestic competition in the UK, but in England, but you've done it at a rampant stage this year. So phone us up on that. If you're a Manchester United fan, give us a call. Tell us what you think of the job that Solskjaer is doing there, and they're into their record-breaking number of semi-final appearances with Harry Maguire's 118th minute winner against Norwich to send you through to the semi-finals. If there's anybody sad enough out there to be a Leeds fan, phone us up. Tell us what you think of Leeds. Are they going to actually win the championship this year and get promoted back into big-time football? Everybody tells me they're a big club. They're a club in Yorkshire, aren't they? Leeds?
Yeah. Craig, is it the top two, top three automatically get promoted in the championship?
So top two at the moment, we've got Leeds 3 points ahead of West Bromwich Albion. And then I think they're 4 points, ahead of Brentford, who are in third. So
I've got the ladder here. It's 5 points ahead of Brentford, who are in third. So they're on 66 points. They then, in turn, are 2 points ahead of Fulham, who are 3 points ahead of Nottingham Forest. And
say that again. What are they called?
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham. Forest. Yeah.
Nottingham
Forest, mate. You sound like a yank. Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest. But I'm sure I won't have problems pronouncing the sixth place team, Cardiff City. They're
on a roll. They're flying. So may not be the prettiest football sometimes, but as I said to someone this morning on a comment, it's not about how you play football at this stage of the season. It's about the points you get, and they've just beaten Leeds last week, 2-0 at home, and they've gone away to Preston, who are a bogey side for Cardiff, and they've gone away yesterday and beaten them 3-1. So it really puts them in a good position now, and I think they have, off the top of my head, I think they've got certainly got Bristol City in the seven-side derby next week, and I think they're playing Charlton Athletic on Tuesday or Wednesday evening. So a big couple of weeks there for the championship teams.
So how does it work, Craig? So the top two get automatically promoted, and then who goes into the playoffs, or who goes into the promotion playoffs?
So 3 to 6.
5th and 6th. Okay, so
Third-
Cardiff
third-
City.
Third play 6th, fourth play 5th,
Uh-huh.
and the winners play effectively in the final for
Yep.
whoever wins gets promoted as the third team into the Premier League. So it's been dotted as the most I think it's the most lucrative game of football in world football. I think.
Yeah.
I think the winners get something like 170 million for winning that final. So it's an incredible. It's an incredible weekend of football when that happens. Everybody tunes into it in the UK, and we spoke about it over here. Is that something that Australia could look at doing if they look to go to a B league, and have a bottom of the league against the top of the league for that all important?
How good would that be though? Like, imagine it was always every year it's in, I don't know, Canberra or something like that, for example, somewhere neutral. And it becomes the most lucrative game. Like you'd have people traveling from all over Australia, fans obviously. It would be brilliant. Now Brentford, they haven't been in the Premier League, have they? Do we know much about them?
No, definitely not. No, Brentford are a real small club just outside of London, but they obviously seem to they're certainly punching above their weight for where they are, but. They've been there for a couple of years now. They've improved year on year, and they just seem to be in those positions every year. Along with the big hitters, there's always the big hitters in that league because they come up, they have a season in the Championship, and then they push on again. Unless you're Leeds, of course, and you go down the leagues and you're forgotten about, and then you start coming back up the league years later. So.
Now that number, it's gone a bit cold. We want some phone calls. We want some people to ring us up. 0497 151 234. That's 0497 151 234. Text us or call us on that number. Yeah, we want to hear from you. Every Sunday night from 7 o'clock, the Football Fan Zone is streamed live. And now we are simulcasting. We're simulcasting I just went off the screen for a sec there. We're simulcasting every week to the Geelong Region Soccer Show as well. So make sure to tune in every week. We want to know from you. Craig has just gone. That is usually a good sign. It usually means that we're probably going to have a caller joining us very, very shortly. Now, a lot happening. English Premier League, obviously. Are you a Liverpool fan? Are you not a Liverpool fan? Were you happy that Liverpool won after 30 years? If you weren't a Liverpool fan, we just talked about the Championship. So Leeds United doing very, very well there, as is West Bromwich Albion. Either of the two, I'm not too sure. Let's get Craig back on to correct me if he can. Craig,
I just want to hear you say it again, Tons, please.
Is it West Bromwich or West Bromwich? Bloody English. What a crazy language. It just does not make sense.
Just don't pronounce the W. Try it again.
Est Bromwich.
No.
You are a nutter. All right, let's get some intelligent conversation on here. Have we got someone on the phone at Lara?
Yes, we do. We have. He's a regular listener to the show, to both Thursday and the Sunday evening show, and I think it's his first time calling in. Chris Briffer, good evening.
Yeah, how are you, boys?
Very well, thank you, mate.
Very well, Chris. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Is that what we call you?
Yes, yeah. It's me. I gave you the idea about the Patreon.
Christopher Cruz. How you doing?
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Yes.
So I was looking at Chris.
I'm
sorry, Chris. I was looking at Chris Briffer on screen. Sorry, mate. My fault.
Yeah, no, all good.
Get your Chris's right. Yep. I'm getting the spelling. I'm getting the pronunciation wrong tonight, and Craig is getting the Chris's wrong. Doesn't matter. Chris, how you doing, mate? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit crazy. I'm in one of the hotspots at the moment. So I'm in the city of Moreland, just outside of the west. But I'm just basically calling in regards to how football's going to work if people can't leave their councils.
Yeah. Are they going to have hubs, do you reckon? I mean, Moreland's got about 25,000 NPL clubs in a 4-kilometre radius. So if you could have your own league, home and away league, there'd be no issues there. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. it's going to be such a mess for Football Victoria to work it all out. If I don't even think they could ever get to that point anyway.
Yeah, look, I think our guest on Thursday evening, he basically said that it's something that they don't know how they're going to react with it. It's one of those things that they will look and wait and decide when things happen. But just as we all start to get excited about the league starting and football getting back, it's something else crops up. But look, Chris, I think it's a very difficult situation for everybody again, isn't it? It's
it's such a tricky one, especially for as the leagues get older, as they're 14, 16s, they're sort of playing outside of their council zones, and it's just gonna be one of those years, guys. It's I don't know where it's going. I hope all this testing sorts it all out in the next week, and we start to see the numbers drop. But I don't know what your thoughts are, but.
Yeah, Chris, off football now for the time being. Let's talk about because I guess it's something that's just really engulfing us. But obviously the extraordinary amount of testing that is being done, and I saw a statistic today somewhere where they actually said, the amount of tests and the percentage, in fact, of those testing positive is not that bad. But what's the feeling like down at ground zero, say, in Moreland and what you're not? Are people concerned? Are they worried? Or is it just they see it as a bit of an inconvenience at the moment? With all this, obviously with all this testing, probably a lot of people don't even know they had it. So they're asymptomatic. What is the general feeling out there in the community?
It's not too bad. My son's at Pascoe Vale, and they're just such a class club that, like from the moment you drop him off and you pick him up, you just know they're in good hands. Mm-hmm. So as far as the club goes, and even off the topic, even schools, you just know it's run so well that there's not going to be issues. But obviously, it's more about perception, and junior sport is probably not considered an essential service like work and school is, and that's where the concern comes in, I think.
Yeah, look, I think it's a funny one, Chris, because if we look at what the PM said, probably 2 months ago now, that the kids are not the problem, but they go back to school and then they have to shut schools down. Look, I'm torn. I actually had the test this week myself, so I was a bit off on Monday and took myself to get tested, and had to wait till Friday afternoon to get the results through, and thank God everything's okay. But I was talking to a lot of people down at the football today, and I think that the concern is not so much that the numbers that are coming out, but they're more concerned about, actually, is it coronavirus? Is it just a flu? The temperatures have changed so dramatically in Victoria over the last 2 weeks, where they're up 1 minute and then down to freezing bloody cold.
Yeah.
How many people have actually just got a cold?
100%.
So I think it's a lot of it is it's doing more damage than actually. I think I would be more worried if there was 200, 300, 400 cases coming through than there is of 20, 30 or 40. You were 3 million people in Victoria. I'd be more worried, like I said, if the numbers were higher than they currently are. But having said that, they are there, and 40, 90 cases over the course of the weekend, I believe, is a high number. But how many of those are actually COVID, and how many of them are cough and cold?
And that's a good point, Craig. I was talking to someone over the weekend who's got family members in the medical field, and they're regularly having to be tested. And they've had something like 5 tests in the last couple of weeks. 3 out of those 5 were negative, 2 were positive. Yet, you know what I mean? So how accurate are they? And if it's actually been shown by various health authorities, but you don't hear about this in the media because it doesn't make good media, it's actually been said that the tests are not that accurate. So what Craig goes on about is probably right. Who knows if it actually is coronavirus, COVID, or whatever you want to call it, and who's not to say that it is just your typical flu. Yeah. And then everyone's going on about vaccines and this and that. The reality of vaccines, they're probably 5 to 10 years away, because they have to be tested. Vaccines, the first batch usually are not, they have side effects or whatever the case may be. So we're not going to have vaccines, people. Forget it. What we have to enter into and this is where I think the government does have a very tough one, and I'm sure they're getting, whether they're getting right or whether they're getting wrong medical advice, that I don't know. But, it's now a situation where we have to live with this virus. We have to actually get this virus out into the community. The stronger mob have to, what do they call it, cohabitate with the virus. So there is a word for it. If anyone knows, let me know what it is. But, having said that, you'd think that, well, hopefully things can be contained so that, if nothing else, the areas outside of those hotspots can start, and then the areas within those hotspots, once things are a little bit normalised, that they can then actually come back in and join in and whatever, do catch up. Or
the reality is, Tonch.
Yeah.
2 months ago we had 100 deaths.
Yeah.
How many had 104?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of panic being put out there in the media by everybody. I'm not going to say.
Someone say toilet paper.
It's not as bad as it is, because it obviously is. It's a horrible thing. But I don't believe it's as I don't think it's as bad as it is. If we've got 104 deaths, we had 103. I'm just looking now. We had 103 47 days ago, and we've had 104, and he was 93. So come on, we have to be real. We have to be realistic here. Is it how bad is the virus? How many people do we have in ICU? I don't know. It's starting to look like a politician show now, but it's not. It's a football show.
Yeah, exactly right. And
I don't know. It's a horrible one for everybody, mate. That's all we can say.
Everyone's an expert. That's what it is. Yeah. Everyone's an expert. They think they know, Mr. Casa. They think they know, but the reality is there's so much media hype and crap and all of this type of thing. So, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from people what they think. But
what are Pascoe Vale saying, Chris?
They're full steam ahead. They're going with it. Obviously, taking advice off Football Victoria, but they're happy to go ahead with the season. Yeah. And I don't think one kid has missed training. As in, since they've come back, the full squads have come back. Everyone came back. So I think everyone just wants the season to start. Let's get it started.
Yeah.
Let's get it started.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right, mate. Brilliant. Well, listen, keep in contact with us, mate. Let us know how things are going over the next couple of weeks with Pascoe and the season, and get any news.
Chris, before you go, let's turn our attention to the A-League and the talk of the A-League going to a winter season. You're very, very passionate about a certain team. You can mention that team if you want to, but what's your thoughts on Melbourne Victory?
Yeah, I'm a victory boy.
Never mind.
It's okay. What are your thoughts if there's suggestions, there's media reports over the weekend that James Johnson is this week going to be coming out with a paper with based on 11 principles of how football in Australia needs to change or what needs to be done to improve it. One of those that is being talked about is, and I will bring an article up on screen. I think I've got that article here, and I'll actually bring that up on screen. So there's an article there where Johnson quickly, this is in the, I think it's the Australian actually, and it's talking about these 11 principles that are going to come out this week. They range from the structure and timing of the A-League and W League, with one heading for winter and the latter, the W League, probably staying in summer, given it would compete with the strong US League. Mate, what's your thoughts on it? If the A-League was to move to a kind of a winter time slot, which is debatable exactly what we mean by winter, what would your thoughts be on that?
Look, I've got no issue with moving to winter as far as the product goes. The football will be much better playing in them conditions. Aligning with Asia is 100% a good idea. I'm just concerned about whether people are going to go out on a 9-degree night and go and watch the football when they've got other options, and they've got their NPL club options and their community club options. That's my concern. But the actual product and moving it with Asia, I 100% agree with.
Yeah, but don't they go and watch AFL anyway, Chris?
Well, that's true. That's true. But I still think we're building up we're still building our fans in this country in regards to football, whereas AFL is very entrenched. You've got generations of families that have been through. But look, I would certainly still go. But I mean, I think it's a good idea to just forget about worrying about other codes. You've just got to worry about your own backyard.
Yeah, and
I
think they are, because they're trying to align themselves with what's happening in Asia, so we can become more competitive in other competitions, not just the A-League. So, look, I think we can all have a bit of a whinge and a moan about it, but I think it's going to happen. Reading the report there, and listening to people like Craig Moore and John Aloisi, who we've had on a Thursday night show recently, they're really pushing forward for this winter league.
Well, if you're ever going to do it, this is the window. This
Correct.
is the time to do it because of circumstances. If you know what I mean.
Good point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it is a winter comp, or they're saying to a winter format, I mean, the first year they're saying would be moving from December to July, but then the year after that, it would be more like a late February, early March start, and finishing around about possibly as late as November, with a bit of a break in the middle of the year. Interesting thoughts. What does that mean? What does that conjure up? Because you'd be playing in large parts of the season where you're not overlapping with AFL, but also maybe with the NPLs as well. So maybe who knows? You might.
Yeah, maybe there may be a hold.
It's a risk
for all of football. So if you've got your thoughts on that, give us a call on 0497 151 234, and we'll do our very best to get you on air.
We'd love to hear from you. You don't have to agree with us. I don't have to agree with you. It doesn't matter. It's all about opinions. And we want. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Much appreciated.
Thanks, mate. Keep in touch.
Thanks a lot, lads. Keep it up.
Thanks, mate. Okay. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Chris is a brilliant chap. I've never met him personally, but he is always so positive, and he's always just really, really pushing what we've started, what we've created, and the whole thing of what done to me. You pressed the wrong button. That's okay. You're back, or you're coming back on now very shortly. There you go. All right. Okay. All right. We want to hear from you. The number there it's on screen. It's 0497 151 231. So we've heard from Chris Cruz and Chris from Moreland, and he's talked about the hotspots and what's the general feeling around the Moreland area. He is concerned what will happen with the competitions, with the winter football, with all of the COVID-19 issues. And it's a very real issue. We don't know what is going on. We want to know. Love to see football happening again. Whoa, I'm moving around. I'm moving around. Craig is the panel operator tonight. And he's also his thoughts on the A-League moving to a winter competition as well. So look, some interesting things there as well. So whilst Craig's got his next person coming on, which is fantastic, we're going to actually have a look at a tweet that was so on screen there. Peter Philopoulos made a vital point made by RD Hines on Offsiders today. A legacy committee will be just as important as the event organising committee for the FIFA Women's World Cup to fully capitalise on the opportunities for football. Further announcements from FFA this week will show this. And there's a picture there of Dave Davutovic, former Herald Sun journo, saying Australia needs to put aside the code wars and invest to take full advantage of the exposure and economic boost the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup will provide. Reality is, how much of that actually is going to happen, no one really knows. But the legacy, Craig, that's something that I think is a great point, isn't it?
Switch on. Let me turn my mic back on. No, it is. I think it'd be very interesting over the next couple of days to see what the CEO comes up with in his report or statement about where football's going to be. And I think it's an interesting time. It's the fact that we're getting the World Cup now is a huge thing for the country, as we said earlier on. And I just think it's the whole landscape of football could change off the back of it. Peter Philopoulos is already talking about, coming down with the Matildas, having the home venue for Matildas in Victoria. Again, what a fantastic thing that would be for football in Victoria. So yeah, it's very interesting times. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, have we got anyone on the line?
We do. We have. I think he's been on with us before. It's North Geelong's Ahmad. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Very well.
Ahmad from Geelong. Ahmad, how are you, my friend? How's things?
Yeah, I've been pretty well. Yeah, it's been very interesting, I guess, for all of us here down in Geelong. But things are looking bright, and we're looking forward to getting all the leagues started. And it was really. I just want to comment on, I guess, the comps manager. What's his name? Will Hastie that you had on Thursday night. So it was really positive. I thought he was great. He was very factual, and if he didn't have the answer, at least he explained to us, what the process would be regarding how they're going to release the fixtures. And I'll put it this way: the boys have always asked us every week, when's the fixtures going to come out? And at least we could tell them, look, they're working towards releasing it this coming week. And that came from the ops manager, so we're really happy about that. So I just want to comment on that.
No, I think Will's a football person. Ahmed, he's he's been an administrator at a club. He's been a technical director at a club. He's played in the NSL, so he's a football person. He understands. Yes. But I agree with you. It was really nice to get somebody from Football Federation who actually opened up a little bit and let us all know what's going on behind the scenes. Because, but we also have to remember they're in a very, very tough situation, aren't they? They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And if they give us information and the government turn around the following day and do something, they look complete idiots. So they are in the hands of the government, and they'll make decisions based on that. But it was really nice to have a good chat with him about how football works from a Victoria football standpoint.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, that's right. We can't control things that are handed down from the government, but at least if there's a plan or there's some sort of indication of what they're planning to do, that's great. And then if it happens to be that we have to shut it down, or that's not up to us. So clarity and transparency, I think, will go a long way in this very weird time. So the other thing I just want to bring up was the
you're not going to mention Liverpool, season. Are you?
No, not yet.
Good answer.
Yeah. Not yet. So, just the winter season. Like Chris mentioned before, I think this is absolutely a great opportunity to turn things around and have, I guess, the A-League playing in the winter season. Like, I'll be truthful, I'm not a fan of the A-League. I lost interest a few years ago. And, it's not that I support having the A-League or anything. I just don't follow it anymore, and I've got no interest because I think it's sort of changed. The product has changed over the years, and there's no appeal for me anymore. But being in the winter, it's going to be really tough on these A-League teams because you've got a lot of, I guess, communities going to be watching their own, local clubs on the weekend. And it'll be a big test for the A-League teams, So I think it's great. It will really show who's loyal to which clubs. You can't do both. That's how I see it. So I know that along with a lot of people from my club would rather watch our clubs in an A-League.
Ahmed, do you think it's a risk worth taking? Like, is the A-League? I mean, some would say it's hit rock bottom at the moment. It's really just no one wants to know about it. So right.
What have they got to lose? If they're at rock bottom now, well, this is the time for you to really test it, because I feel as if they've had a free run over the summer. So you have all the avenues and I guess the capture of all those soccer fans that want to go to a game or whatever. But while you try to compete with the I see it as the real people of football, the community leagues, the state leagues, the NPL, the people that put in a lot of work. This needs to be valued a little bit more, and let's see if you can match us. That's how I see it.
Now, mate, you're heavily involved down there at North Geelong, but you're also coaching North Geelong's affiliate club in the local Geelong competition, Elcho Park Cardinals. How are things looking with the local competition down there? And Geelong has been relatively unscathed as far as the coronavirus. I think it's only been 60 positive. I think if in the whole time that we've been around. Is there talk that the competition down there will just continue? Obviously being a local competition, and are you looking forward to what this year brings the Elcho Park Cardinals with you at the helm?
Yeah, I think the league's definitely going to go ahead. We had a few clubs here that have dropped out due to I guess the uncertainties about what's going on with the leagues. I think it was just a bit of a timing issue there, where a lot of clubs are really looking for direction from FE, and unfortunately they couldn't wait any longer, and you do feel for those clubs, and a lot of people will miss out, but at the same time I think that they've still got a lot of clubs that will participate, and like you said, Torchy, I think we're pretty unscathed over here. It's just a waiting game. It gets a little bit frustrating. What was the second part, Torchy? What did you ask? Sorry.
Oh.
Last night, Ahmed, are you okay? Did you have a good night?
I did have a good night. Yeah, still celebrating the number 19 Liverpool Premier League title.
Sorry, the line's going terribly. Sorry. There's interference on the line now. Anybody hear it?
Oh, really? Okay.
Keep talking, Ahmed. Keep talking. We've got a party pooper in the house by the name of Craig.
England club now.
Oh, here we go.
Number 43 honours, and possibly another one next year.
No, listen, I'm chuffed for Liverpool. To be fair, it's been a long time coming, and as I said a couple of times, nobody can argue they've been the best team for this season, and to go on the run that they have, to lose by 1 point of the league last year, but then to win it by 24 points ahead at this stage, it's an incredible turnaround for the club, and it just shows you to for all the clubs out there that getting rid of your manager every 6 months doesn't work. Have a manager that's going to come in with a plan and build that club around. You can't change things in a season, and it's proved that with, I think there was something on Facebook today, and his first game in charge, I think only 2 players out of the squad that he's got now were actually in the squad on his when he started, which is incredible to turn it all around, and he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely, that's right. Especially in the last 2 seasons, and to get so many points in the last 2 seasons, 97 last year, and where are we, up to 80 something? And we've already won the league, and 7 games remaining, plus the possibility of getting over 100 and breaking another record or something like that. So without being biased, that's a massive achievement. I mean, I know it's Premier League and they're professionals and that, but it just shows in football that over time and careful strategy, you can achieve many successes, and Klopp's done that within you could say a bit of a tight budget. I know they spend a little bit as well, but you look at the net spend compared to other bigger club, it's amazing, and the players that he's brought in as well, like Robbo and Trent Alexander-Arnold, those stories. That's what you want to see in not only local football. You want to see that up top as well. The big leagues. So it's an amazing story. So
what do they need to do? What do they need to do next season?
Next season, I think we still have to sign probably 1 or 2 players. I think another centre back would be ideal, and perhaps another.
Well, you're not going to keep Lovren?
Midfielder. Sorry?
You're not going to keep Lovren?
Oh, we'll probably keep him, but he might not be a starter. That's the thing, And you look at the options. We've only got what's his name, Joel Matip and Joey Gomez as a backup. Nathaniel Klein's probably going to go as well. They're releasing him, so it'll probably be ideal to secure another centre half. and maybe an attacking midfielder. There's talks about Coutinho coming back. And, yeah, I don't know. If he comes back for cheap, I think we'll take him. But yeah, I think he missed the boat. He went to Barcelona to win titles, and then ironic.
Yep, absolutely.
Ahmad, thank you very much. We've touched on some really, really good topics there. But one topic that North Geelong has got a very strong connection with Liverpool, or at least it's Liverpool fans. And the North fans down at North Geelong have adopted one of Liverpool's supporter songs, the one by, is it Jamie, what's his name, Webster or whatever his name is. Now, did you have something to do with it? Because you're one of the more prominent drummers on match day, aren't you? So tell us a bit about how that was all adopted, and who was the songwriter that transposed some of those lyrics, to make it a bit more relevant.
I know who it was. I won't mention his name. He might have been a Liverpool supporter as well, so that's where it came from. It just rolls off the tongue, we changed the words and related to Elcho Park, and from Elcho to Torquay, and we've won the effing lot. But I won't finish it. Look, I guess we've always had a big supporter base, and it just came about randomly that we just wanted to add a bit of spice, and we did everything by random. It wasn't really organised, but it then became a little bit more managed and
organised.
Not just the adults, but the young ones too. So
and that's what. Sorry, Ahmed.
That's what. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, mate. One of the things that I've noticed down at the North when we've been down there on Saturday games is the home support is very vocal. Not just home, but away as well. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of young bodies around this. All the young kids and even the young NPL players and the Cardinals boys. They're all in that little group together, and it really does. If you've not been down to Elcho Park on a match day, you are missing something, because it's pretty vocal. It's a fantastic atmosphere, and I remember my first game going down there beginning of last season when you played Geelong in the local derby, and I stood behind the goals with a friend of mine, and I've never seen anything. There was, I think, 1,500, 1,600 people down. Yeah. It was unbelievable. But you do.
That was special. Yeah, and I think the Western United friendly during the season, that was
up at George Cross,
really, really exciting. Yeah, at the Cita Vista training ground, and now we're here at Western United singing some of our renditions and that. It's a little bit pathetic, but whatever. Anyway, not a Western.
All right, mate. Great.
Thanks. Have them come down, mate. Yeah, we can hook something out. I'd love to have them to come down for a practice match. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Ahmad.
Fantastic. Ahmad from Geelong with quite a few topics there. That was excellent. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we do come back, our first. What we're going to do is to have a few words from some of the sponsors that have helped us along the way, and this particular sponsor is sponsoring this week's edition of the Football Out West show on Thursday night.
What do you need to succeed?
I need real skills.
I need real experience. I need real outcomes.
With hundreds of courses to choose from, it's never been easier to steer your career in the right direction. The Gordon can get you there.
Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone. Looks like Craig has just gone off screen now, so hopefully that means that's a good sign. Usually means that he's got a caller to be had. Oopsie, someone's playing with my settings. Okay, we look forward to actually having you join us tomorrow night for the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's going to be one hell of a show, one hell of a massive show, in fact. Cannot wait for that one. We've got a special guest, an international guest, a Geelong boy who is now the general manager of the second ranked team in Croatia, Lokomotiva Zagreb, Denis Gudasic, who was spent most of his life in Geelong and 30 years ago emigrated to Croatia. So he'll tell us a little bit about what it is like to be the manager of a football club in Europe. He'll be joining us tomorrow night. And then on Thursday night, the Football Out West show every Thursday night from 7 p.m. So that'll be really good as well. Craig, you're back. You've joined us.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, just talking about Thursday show, and we will touch on that later on. But so really, it'll be really interesting show this Thursday with Jake Edwards.
Tell us about Jake Edwards. So he's going to be a big guest this week.
Yeah, Jake Edwards is the owner of Outside the Locker Room, which is a mindset business that he set up to help sports people and people in general with mental health issues. I was lucky enough to go to a presentation that Jake did down in Geelong, probably 3-4 months ago now. It was an open in a gym, and I was invited along, so I took the under 16s down to listen, and it's a really good insight into the trials and tribulations of someone that's going through mental health issues. And I'm sure we've all been through it over the last couple of months, and I'm sure there's people that we don't know are going through it. Jake will talk about the issues that he had. As a 19-year-old AFL player who'd been put into the limelight at I think it was Geelong Cats. I think his father was a big Carlton player, and the pressures that were on him to succeed. And he eventually tried to take his life at 19, and thank heavens he didn't. And he's turned it all around. But it's a really moving story, and he set up this Outside the Locker Room program. But it'll certainly make you think a little bit if you tune into the show on Thursday. It's something different, but I think it's something that I think we need to touch on at this stage. And I know it's a football out west, and we're all jump. But if you look at some of the issues that are arising in Geelong at the moment, where I think they've had 3 young deaths from one school in a very short space of time. So I suppose it brings home a little bit about how important looking out and looking after one another is, and we'll touch on that on Thursday with Jake.
Thursday night, 7 p.m. on the Football Out West News Facebook page, streamed live. It will also be simulcast on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page, and then later that night it will be all uploaded to our exclusive YouTube channel. So a lot happening, and that's, Craig, such an important thing, I guess, to mention, the mental health and sports clubs, soccer clubs in particular, are so important because they provide a lot of the youth an outlet and opportunity to really, I guess, take their mind off the pressures of study, especially, kids that are 15, 16, 17 as well, but also pressures of adolescence. And these days things are so much difficult, so much more complicated, and especially with the situation we find ourselves in. So definitely not an episode to be missed. Craig, we got anyone else on the
No, we haven't. So we'll keep rabbiting on. But just Chris Briffa there just wrote something on the page there that Jake's father, Butchie Edwards, played for Footscray and Western Bulldogs in the 80s. So for those who are interested in AFL, I'm sure you know who he is. John Sultana, good evening, John. 10 minutes to go. Do we know anything about the fixtures, mate? You know as much as we do. As I keep saying. And I said to Will, we get asked lots and lots of questions, every day of the week. We don't work for the Football Federation, guys. We know as much as you do. We do a lot of digging, and we do a lot of work outside of the show to find out as much information on stuff. But we know as much as you do. We try and keep our heads down and look for as much information that we can provide you guys throughout the week. But Will did say it would be the early part of this week when we'll get fixtures. So just sit by your computers and wait.
I guess the first thing they need to do is work out or confirm the structure, the competition structures, and whether or not teams are pulling out. I guess the NPL is not so much of an issue, even though we've had Bentley Greens pull out in the NPL competition, but more so it's the state leagues. And as soon as you have one team pulling out last minute, which is what Will said on Thursday, and it was a really good point he actually made, there goes your whole fixtures out the window, and you got to go back to the starting point and redo the fixtures. And even though you've got the contingencies, and they might have 5, 6, 10, how many those variations, it still makes it very difficult, because then I guess, and the other thing, Craig, as well, the coronavirus, if these clubs are that are in their hotspots are not able to either travel outside and play their games away, or host games, well, they might have to postpone their games. And guess what? Later in the year, they're going to have to make up for that.
That's what Will said, didn't he? That's what Will said on Thursday, that those games might be just postponed for now, and when the opportunity arises, it might be that they're playing 2 or 3 games a week, but they'll do their best to get those games played throughout the season. So
now, John, I'm not sure if actually Will said tomorrow they're announcing. He did say this week sometime, but I wasn't sure if he actually gave a day. I don't think he did, but he did say, I think early in the week or early, something like that. Yeah, can't remember exactly, Craig. The whole replay from Thursday night's show is up on our exclusive YouTube channel. There's also the Facebook version pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So certainly, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that interview with Will Hastie, it is a long interview, goes for about an hour and a half, but it is certainly well worth watching, and it's a really good insight into how the governing body in this state operates, and sometimes it can be a little bit eye-opening as well. Now, folks, that number again, 0497 151 234. The hour is almost up, so we will take one more phone call if there is someone there. Would love to hear from you. 0497 151 234. Talk about anything. Juniors, seniors, women's, men's, your club. What's happening down at your club? Is your club excited about getting back into some form of football? Are you over it? We've heard from people who have said we're just simply over it. We've had enough. We don't have the volunteers to be running this caper anymore. So we want to know from you what you are thinking. So please give us a call. We're going to take one more caller for tonight. And if anyone there, Craig?
No, we haven't got anybody, Tom. So we'll just have a bit of a chat about what's going on football-wise around the world. I think for 10 minutes until somebody comes on. But Serie A is interesting. That's hotting up again. So we can just talk about that quickly. Juve stay top of the league, 4 points ahead of Lazio by defeating Lecce today 4-0. On Friday evening 4-0. Whilst Lazio defeated Fiorentina today 2-1. To keep their 7 points ahead of Inter, who are in third. So things hotting up there, obviously in Serie A, and then you cross the border into Spain and La Liga, where Barcelona had a bit of a shock and dropped 2 points overnight, drawing 2-2 with lowly Celta Vigo, and it's obviously paved the way for Real to leapfrog them today if they beat bottom of the league Espanyol, and they'll go 2 points clear at the top. So really two massive points dropped for Barcelona, but Lionel Messi and Suarez were on the score sheet there for Barcelona. So a bit of a shock for Barca.
Just you can tune into any one of our 3 weekly podcasts. Just a reminder, it's there all on the screen. Monday nights, Geelong Region Soccer Show from 7 p.m. Thursday nights, Football Out West Show also from 7 p.m. And we've made it uniform by all 3 of our weekly shows going to 7 p.m., including our show tonight, the Football Fan Zone, which is on a Sunday. All of our games, all of our shows are being simulcast as of last week, which is really, really fantastic. Being simulcast on both the Football Out West News Facebook page, but also the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page. And then later that evening, it is uploaded to our YouTube channels. We'd love to hear from you. 0497 151 234. That's 0497 151 234. Where we're itching to talk to someone. And if you're not, well, we might have to just finish up a little bit earlier tonight, unfortunately. But we would definitely want to have you ringing us up. We'll take one more caller. Craig has gone offline, so that once again hopefully means we've got someone ready to call. Okay, so that number is 0497 151 234. The Gordon is sponsoring our episode this Thursday on the Football Out West show. We'd love for you to be a sponsor. Contact us via private message or get us via email, communitysportsmedia@gmail.com. And I think Craig is going to come back on. And Craig, is there someone on the line? No, Craig's just gone off. Unfortunately, no one is there. Well, look, last chance. The clock is ticking by. We've had quite a good amount of viewers tonight. So that's great to see. A lot of people are tuning in. A lot of people are watching us. But we'd love to have you on board as well, be an active part of the show tonight. So thank you to Chris from Moreland, Ahmad from Geelong, second-time caller Ahmad. Chris was a first-time caller, so that was thank you to those two for ringing up and being involved. And looks like we may have someone on the line. Craig, we got someone on the line? He hasn't turned his microphone on.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, we do. We have Brenton from Lara on the phone.
Brenton, what another second-time caller. How are you, Brenton?
Very well, thanks, Conch.
Well, you must be a very, very happy man because you wear your heart on your sleeve just like Jurgen Klopp does. You must be very, very happy.
You're not kidding, Conch. Firstly, obviously, it's a bit better to talk about North Geelong Warriors have now submitted their application to hosting a team at the Elcho Park, and looking forward to working with the Women's World Cup organisers to make that happen.
Yeah.
2023 FIFA Women's World Cup.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier on, Brenton, that North Geelong have put an application in to host one of the World Cup teams down at Elcho Park, and as we said, that'll be fantastic for the region. I'm sure there'll be other clubs within Victoria that would have put bids in to host these clubs. There's obviously 36 teams throughout Australia and New Zealand, and obviously Tasmania as well. So I'm sure there'll be a couple of clubs that'll be looking to have them. But it's fantastic news for the region that and hopefully we can get one of the big clubs. It'll be fantastic.
Now, Brenton, you live in Lara, is that right? So something like that. What's your thoughts? That would be a massive boost for the region. I mean, when it was the Asian Cup in 2015, I think we saw, was it Saudi Arabia were based down in Torquay, down on the surf coast? Bahrain, was it?
As well.
And Bahrain as well, yeah. Well, what do you think something like that would mean for the region, for Geelong, which has grown in leaps and bounds in recent years as far as participation wise, but obviously, it's a tough town because it's an AFL town, but the profile boost it would give the region. What do you think it would do? And for the whole western suburbs, in fact.
I reckon it would be absolutely massive for the whole Geelong and Surf Coast region, and for the Wyndham region as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're involved in a club within the Wyndham region as well.
Yeah.
How are things looking at your club?
Haven't been down there too much, to be honest, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously.
Yep.
I'll wait for obviously to get the all clear to go.
Yep.
As I get told by AV and Sean and Kev.
Then you'll be back in will you be doing your weekly interviews on a Thursday evening? Yep.
Probably from the 23rd of July, what the target is at this stage.
Yeah, good.
I'll wait for Football Victoria to get their house in order.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we go from there.
Brilliant.
And I've taken a few notes last night from the championship. as well. I've been taking notes.
Say that again, Brendan.
I was taking notes from the championship last night in England.
From the championship, yeah. Go on, tell us all about the championship. You're going to talk about Cardiff.
Especially Cardiff.
Brilliant. You carry on. You got the airways. Carry on, mate.
I saw from Cardiff in that second half. I thought when they were under the pump was actually really good, and they deserved their 3 points. I thought.
Yeah. Here.
And 3 quality goals. Well,
What about who's going to win the league? Who's going to win the championship? Is it going to be Leeds United or West Bromwich?
I think Leeds, because West Brom got some more tough games than Leeds in the running.
Yeah, and Leeds deserve to be back in the Premier League in the big time.
I think so.
Yeah, they've got.
Especially not been there since 2003-04.
Yeah, they certainly dropped off the radar for a number of years, and it would be good to see the Arab.
And maybe surprised if Brentford go up by the playoffs.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier on as well. They're a small club just outside of London, but we've seen it over the years. You know, who'd have thought the Sheffield United would be in the top 6 and Wolves and be in the top 8, and it's these little clubs now they pack a punch, and it'll be great to see the little sides.
And also in a brand new stadium for next season as well.
Are they?
Yeah, brand new stadium in West London.
Very good. Very good.
Well, there you go. Interesting.
What
was that?
I was absolutely wrapped when I woke up Friday morning and watched the game. I thought about time Liverpool got the toilet last. I thought.
You weren't even born the last time they won it, Brendan, were you?
Yeah, I was.
You was? What were you, about 2?
4, 3 or 4 at the time.
3 or 4, yeah. Wow.
I thought it was unbelievable, extremely emotionally waited long enough to get back to the top of the mountain and finally lift the pole in a few weeks. Incidentally, I found out on Friday it will be against Chelsea when the trophy will be lifted.
Be Chelsea, will it?
It will be against Chelsea when the last home game of the season will take place.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, I'm sure we'll all be tuned in to watch that. I think.
And to those demanding FIFA, UEFA, the FA, the Premier League, and EFL to declare it null and void without the fact during the COVID-19 suspension, on your bike, pack your bongo, have a very hard look at yourselves. It's a prevention, but failing to acknowledge both European, English, and international governing body statements. As a result, its karma is a bitch. Null and void brigade.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Unhappy man down in Lara. Thanks for ringing in.
Thanks, Brenton. Thanks for ringing in.
Okay,
Thank you.
Another great supporter of the show, and he does a lot of good things with Hoppers Crossing. Brenton Ray, the Ray Man, as he's known around town. He's a fantastic football man, a legend, and we've got so many of them.
I think we got one more caller.
We got one more. We'll take one quick caller.
We have, yeah. I think it's John.
Hello, guys.
John, how are you? It's John Sultana from Altona.
John,
third time caller.
Third time, I think it is.
Yeah, it is the third time. I think it is, mate.
Well,
yeah.
You're the record. You're the record holder, John.
Oh well, that's good. I must have a lot of good things to say then.
What have you got to talk about this evening, mate?
Oh no, I was just listening to you guys and just ringing up just to went and watched a few games today from some other local clubs, and it was just good to be back. Just a nice day, and just good to see some games.
Who did you go and watch?
Oh, I just went down to Williams Landing actually, and just watched a couple of games there.
Okay, yeah.
So it was actually quite good. Some of the talents, I mean, was pretty good. I mean, after being off for a few months, I suppose some of the kids looked really good.
Yeah, have you got any kids in Williams Landing, or you just went down to watch them?
No, I just went and watched a few games. We had, I haven't got any. My kids are older now, so they're not playing anymore.
How did they look, the kids down at Williams Landing? Because I know they've,
good, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I know they've had a bit of a setup there over the last couple of years, and some new coaches in and a new setup there, and I know they got some very talented young kids coming through.
Yeah, they look good, to be honest, some of the games.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and another question too, like how we've won the rights to host the women's football. I know, and everyone's probably been saying about this, but it's a good chance now for the FA to really pump some money into it and promote it, and not wait till it gets here. You've got 2 years or something, isn't it? 2 or 3 years to do it.
Yeah, yep.
And this is where they have to really promote, and even get the clubs to promote it. I mean, the clubs are doing the best they can, but it's promoting it and putting money into it is two different things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they've got to do. And this is their chance to build it up. It's not when it comes and then try afterwards. We've got to do it now, next 2 or 3 years, and try to build up. Start if you're going to start like an AIS academy or something like that for the women, then let's do it. Whatever it's going to be, but somebody has to go in and get there.
Yeah, one of the big things, John, that everyone's talking about now that the decision has been made, and now that we've got 2 years to get everything right, is the legacy. The legacy. We're just this weekend we're hearing so much about the legacy. What legacy would you like the Women's World Cup in 2023 to leave Australian football?
The legacy,
what's the legacy that the one of the second biggest football tournaments in the world will leave Australia?
I think that it's got a good chance for obviously to promote Australian football. I mean, if we do really well in the women's team, I suppose, in the women's competition, and I mean, I'm expecting us to finish top 4 at least in the finals. At this stage, I mean, obviously we don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years, but I think that'll be a flow-on effect too for our junior boys, and obviously it'll increase, I suppose, viewership as well. But just it'll promote the game more, both here and promote Australian soccer overseas a little bit too.
Yeah, Maxi Sanchez here has just commented on the page here. The Women's World Cup, if done correctly, can put the world game back on track, much like it did in the 2006 World Cup. So I think he's right. There's a lot of work to do between now and 2023 for sure. But I do believe that it will put Australia on the map. And it will certainly help develop the game further, in my opinion, to where it is now. But like I said, there's a hell of a lot of work to do between now and then.
I think also it'll not only for the women, but it'll promote the boys. And I think a lot more clubs might look at Australian players more and get them into the bigger leagues and stuff like that. You know what I mean? In Europe and just all around the world, really. But they have to start now. It's not like wait 2 months before the thing starts and then they start promoting it. It's got to be done now. You have to be prepared. And I just said we should be looking at top 4. Not really. We should be looking at winning it, really. I mean, I think we're are we the 3rd best country in the world at the moment, ranked?
Something like that, I think. Something like that, yeah.
But it's been really interesting, John, as we are talking 3 years down the line before it arrives on our shores. Those girls that are in that squad now will be 3 years older. Some of them will be coming towards the end of their careers or even finished in their careers. When we spoke to Ivan Jolic a few weeks ago, he was a little bit concerned about what's coming in behind the current group of Matildas. So I suppose the questions needs to be asked is what's happening with the development side of the women's game underneath the current Matilda squad. Are there any of the quality young players coming through? Because the girls that are there now have done a fantastic job to raise the profile. But where's the next batch coming from? And it goes back again, doesn't it, to what happened in 2006 with the men? They broke into the world game, but then it all stopped. And I think Australian football would be absolutely mental if they didn't start really working hard behind the scenes now to get the next generation of Matildas, because there's some great young players in that squad. but also some that are coming towards the end of their careers.
100%, Craig. That's why
Good.
they've got to identify, your 16, 17-year-olds now.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 or 3 years, they're going to be your 19, 20-year-olds, and that's what they've got to identify them, take away, and like I said, whether they make an eye, like Viduka said, the Institute of Sports sort of thing,
absolutely.
or academy or something like that. That's what they've got to do.
Yeah.
And they've got to be ready for the World Cup, and we've got to go there with winning it.
Yeah, why wouldn't we do that though, John? Sorry, I know we're going on a little bit now, but why wouldn't we create a women's AIS program? Planning for the 2023 World Cup, getting the best young talent in Australia together, on a weekly, monthly basis, training with top quality coaches day in, day out, and prepare them for the opportunity to represent their country in the 2023 World Cup.
I think it all just comes down to money and finance. I think that's where Australia have to allocate some money for that.
There's 32 teams from around the world with all their supporters, TV revenue that's going to come in. They have to take a gamble.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to take the governing body have to take a gamble and say, we need to have the best young girls now, coached at the highest level we can to get them ready for the 2023 World Cup. Otherwise, we're going to be also-rans, and we don't want to be also-rans. We want to be able to put on a show for the rest of the world, and they can see the depth of the talent that's available here in Australia. So for me, if it was me, and it's my opinion only, there would be an IES for women over the next 3 years to try and develop.
Yeah, I agree, Craig. Thank you very much, John. Much appreciated. Is he still there, or is he gone?
Yeah, no, I'm still
here. There? Yeah. I was going to say thank you very much for your input. Really appreciate it. Every time you do ring us up, you've always got something intelligent to say. So wish you, mate, all the very best, and hopefully 2020 season will get back up on track very, very quickly.
I hope so.
Thanks for the call, John.
Bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Good on you. That was John from Altona. Craig, big week coming up. Hopefully a lot to talk about, but I'm really looking forward to Thursday night's program. I think it's John Edwards is going to be Jake Edwards. Sorry, let's get that right. He'll be very interesting. Certainly a show not to miss. And then before that, tomorrow night's Monday night Geelong Region Soccer Show, also at 7 p.m. with an international guest, Geelong-born Denis Gudasic, who is now the executive manager of Lokomotiva Zagreb, which has got a very, very strong Australian connection. Tune in tomorrow night to find out exactly what that Australian connection is, and you will spin out. It's got nothing to do with football. Mate, we've got a big week coming up. Wishing you all the very best with all your coaching duties, and ahead of next weekend's restart to the NPL junior season. Should be a really, really exciting week for you.
Yeah, look, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the next weekend. Trip to Bendigo and Ballarat over 2 days. So living the dream. But hopefully then next Sunday evening we can get some coaches on talking about their fixtures and their matches over the weekend, and we can start to build up the Sunday evening show. And it won't be long. It won't be long before the seniors are back in action, and then I think it'll ramp back up, and there'll be some. So happier comments, hopefully, in the comment section once the fixtures come out this week. And,
absolutely.
The FFP are working really hard behind the scenes to get them out to you. So I think we all wait with bated breath to look and see who we're playing in round one.
Lots of announcements to be made this week from both Football Victoria and Football Federation Australia. So certainly don't make sure you do tune in. So on behalf of Craig and myself, a very, very good night to you all, and thank you for tuning in to the Football Fan Zone. Looking forward to having your company again next week.